unfold.
All right, let's get right into it. We are talking about a technology that could literally restore movement to the paralyzed, but at the same time, it could also create the most perfect surveillance tool imaginable. Today, we're going deep on Neuralink to figure out if this is humanity's next great miracle or, well, its final nightmare. Just think about this for a second. For all of human history, there has been one place that was truly 100% private, the space inside your own head. Your skull has always been the ultimate firewall. Well, that final frontier of privacy, it's about to be breached. The age of the brain-computer interface, the BCI, is no longer just some sci-fi fantasy. It's really here. So what is this thing really? The source material puts it perfectly. It's kind of like a Fitbit for your skull. So let's pull back the curtain and dissect the hardware. This is the N1 implant. It's a coin-sized device that sits completely flush in your skull, totally invisible. Now, the magic number here is 1,024 channels. To put that in perspective, that is 10 times the resolution of older devices, giving it this incredibly high-definition window into your brain activity. And, as we're going to see, the goal here goes way beyond just helping people medically. Now, this is where the engineering gets super interesting, because Neuralink made a huge trade-off. See, your brain is incredibly soft, almost like gelatin. Older, stiffer electrodes would just tear through it. So Neuralink's big idea was to use these super thin, flexible plastic threads, polyamide, that are meant to move with the brain. The problem? No one really knows if this plastic can survive inside a warm, salty human skull for decades. Competitors, on the other hand, are betting on proven, durable metals. It might cause a bit more damage up front, but they know it lasts. This choice is Neuralink's big, big gamble. And you can't just have a regular surgeon implant these threads. They're thinner than a human hair. A human hand just shakes way too much. So they built this, the R1 robot. You can think of it as a kind of high-speed sewing machine for the brain. It uses computer vision to carefully weave these threads into the cortex, all while dodging the tiniest blood vessels to prevent any damage. The whole point is to make this procedure automatic, to turn brain surgery into something as routine as getting LASIK. So, okay, the technology is impressive on paper, right? But what actually happens when it meets a human mind? Well, that brings us to the very first patient. This is Nolan Arbaugh. He was paralyzed from the shoulders down after an accident. After getting the N1 implant, he could control a computer cursor, just by thinking. He was playing video games for hours on end, reconnecting with the world in a way that had been impossible for years. I mean, this right here, this is the miracle. This is the incredible hope of what BCI technology can do. But then, things started to go wrong. Just weeks after the surgery, the device began to fail. A massive chunk of those delicate threads, up to 85% of them, had actually pulled out of his brain tissue. The connection to his mind was starting to fade. They're calling this the thread retraction anomaly, and it highlights the single biggest challenge. You see, the N1 device is literally screwed to the hard, fixed bone of the skull. But your brain isn't fixed, it floats and shifts around. So as Nolan's brain settled after the surgery, it just pulled away from the implant, yanking those threads right out. Now, Neuralink did manage a software fix to make it more sensitive, but the incident exposed a massive design challenge. Connecting rigid hardware to soft, living tissue is just incredibly, incredibly difficult. And you should know, Neuralink is definitely not the only company in this race. As you can see here, their competitors are trying totally different things. You've got Paradromics, which is aiming for an even higher channel count to decode speech, and then there's Synchron, which avoids open brain surgery completely by inserting its device through the jugular vein in your neck. The race for the brain is absolutely on, and nobody knows which design is going to win out. So far, we've talked about controlling a cursor, which is a motor command. It's about an intention to move. But we're talking about creating a high-bandwidth connection directly to the brain. So what happens when this technology gets powerful enough to read not just what you want to do, but what you actually think? And this is where the whole story takes a much darker turn. If the brain becomes the next digital platform, it could also become the ultimate prison, a kind of panopticon of the mind. Let me walk you through how this could work, because this is not some future theory. This has already been demonstrated. Imagine you're playing a game on a BCI-enabled device. That game starts flashing tiny images at you so fast you don't even consciously see them. It flashes logos for different banks. Now, when the logo for your bank flashes, your brain will have an involuntary flicker of recognition. It's a brainwave called a P300 spike. The app sees that spike, and just like that, it knows where you bank. The same trick could be used for PIN codes, faces you know, secret locations. It's basically a lie detector for your subconscious mind, and there's no way to beat it. Oh, but it gets so much worse. Right now, most BCIs are read-only. They just listen to brain signals. But the next generation will be read-write, meaning they can send signals back into the brain. So if a hacker gets control of one of those, they could potentially induce pain, mess with your ability to move, or even trigger emotions you don't want. This opens the door to a whole new kind of crime, something truly terrifying: brainjacking, or holding a person's very consciousness for ransom. Okay, so the threats are obviously very real and pretty scary, but the fight to defend our minds, it's actually already started. Let's look at the legal and ethical walls people are trying to build right now. This was a massive case. A senator in Chile actually sued a neurotech company because they were collecting his brain data without very specific consent, and he won. The court's ruling was a huge deal. It said that your neural data isn't like your search history. It's a special, highly sensitive category of data, almost like one of your vital organs. This set a powerful precedent for the rest of the world that your mind is not something to be mined for data. And building on cases like that, ethicists are now proposing a kind of universal bill of neurorights. This includes things like the right to mental privacy, so your thoughts can't just be harvested and sold, the right to personal identity, so an algorithm can't subtly change who you are, and this last one is huge: fair access. This is to prevent a future where only the rich can afford cognitive upgrades, creating a whole new biological class system. And that brings us to the final, biggest question: the real reason this technology is being pushed so hard. You see, this was never just about medicine. This is about the future of the human species itself. Elon Musk's stated reason for creating Neuralink is pretty existential. He argues that as artificial intelligence becomes super intelligent, humanity is at risk of becoming, well, obsolete, like pets. Our brains are fast at taking information in, but our output, talking or typing, is incredibly slow. He sees a high bandwidth BCI as the only solution, a way for us to literally merge our consciousness with AI and the cloud just so we can keep up. So this is what it all comes down to. The exact same technology that can give a paralyzed person their life back is the one that could spell the end of privacy for everyone. The very tool that promises a beautiful symbiosis with AI could also create a world where a normal, unenhanced human is left behind. We are standing at a profound fork in the road, and in our race to merge with a machine, we have to ask, are we actually upgrading what it means to be human, or are we just automating our own surrender?